This episode is brought to you by Photo Plus, October 24th through 26th at the Javits Center in New York City. Register today at photoplusexpo.com and use the code TWiP to register for free. Hey folks, in this interview, it's all about the GNAR Box. This is TWiP. I'd like to say thank you to our sponsor for this episode, Photo Plus. What are you doing to make sure you're up to date with the latest trends, technologies, and techniques necessary to remain competitive in your marketplace? You'll get hands-on with the newest gear from leading brands and hear practical tips and tricks during sessions led by experts. And exhibitors host interactive education sessions directly in their booths, right on the show floor. Plus, you'll network and connect with peers and creative leaders from around the world. So why not take a few days and invest in your craft and your business? Register today at photoplusexpo.com and use the code TWiP to register for free. Hey, welcome back to another episode. I'm lucky enough to be here with one of the co-founders of a company called GNAR Box. They make a tool that we're going to be talking to you guys about. Will Africano is here. He's the chief marketing officer, co-founder, basically one of the people behind the magic of the GNAR Box that is in a unique position to talk to us about what it is, why they put it together, and more specifically, what this new version, they're on version 2.0, the SSD version versus the old version, and what those changes were, as well as some of the bumps in the road along the way with bringing this product to market. So Will, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for having me.
You do not look beat up at all, man. You're in startup mode. You're supposed to have bags under your eyes and, a sleeping bag behind you, all that stuff.
It's been that way for 5 years, so don't worry about it too much. We've been through it all.
You've been through the ringer. So 5 years, huh? Wow.
Yeah.
That is. Well, let's start from the beginning because a lot of people. Let's not make the assumption that everyone's heard about the GNAR Box, right?
Fair enough.
Which is this guy here. This is GNAR Box 2.0 that I have. Thanks for sending this over to let me play with.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the original inception and the original idea for the product. What was the hole in the market that you guys were hoping to fill with this product, considering that it's a competitive landscape right now?
Yeah, I think, a lot of folks did see the 1.0 out there because it kind of started this new category of products, right, of this backup device, the concept of replacing a laptop in the field with something that's smaller, more rugged, and connects to your phone where you can do some of your workflow steps. And the first product, the goal was to fill that hole of how do I manage video from a phone, specifically video from GoPro and Mavic type drones. Mm-hmm. And that was where we were focused with that product. Now, what changed was after we did our Kickstarter on that product, which was a $500,000 Kickstarter, good success, really launched the company. And then we delivered that product after some development. It was received with some mixed reviews, and a lot of the feedback we got was a lot of professionals in that space that were buying the product, trying to just use it as a pure backup device, and then wanted some, workflow tools, ways to get files to and from their phone without all of the files getting there. So we took all that feedback, took it back to the drawing board, and that's where we created GNAR Box 2.0, which we are about to start selling live on retail. We've just wrapped up the majority of our Kickstarter deliveries. We Kickstarted that one for almost $1 million. It was over 900K, so it was a good success. And we saw the people who purchased this one was a much different demographic. It was a little more of a premium version, but following along with the WD My Passport SSD wireless and the LaCie Copilot. Now there's a little bit of some diversity in this category for consumers and professionals now with this product who want to leave that laptop behind just to back up files, just to view some files and possibly edit or deliver those files while in the field.
Yeah, and I can attest to that because I took this one that you let me use here. I took it to this conference I was doing interviews at for this photographer Sue Bryce a couple of weeks ago, and it was an interesting how just small, subtle changes sort of change your sort of workflow and outlook and how things go as a photographer. Because when you're in the field, there's a constant like, okay, I need multiple backups of this. Do I have it? Well, should I erase this memory card? No, never.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
and all that. And even just because we were shooting video and lots of stills and all this, so there's a lot of data. And plus there was very little time. So I remember one instance where I was like, I would not have been able to do this without the GNAR Box, not to make this a commercial, but I had to get to one area, but I needed to copy all my data down to the hard drive on the Mac before I went over there. So instead of bringing the Mac, I left the Mac in the hotel room, brought the GNAR Box instead, and sat there and did my copy and verify while I was sitting there, without the Mac at all. So that was
And that's the core. I mean, there's that moment when you're leaving on a trip, and our people that we work with that are using this product that helped us create this product are folks who are often putting all of their camera gear on their back. They have some clothes and some other things. Maybe they're gone for a few days or just a day, but they're carrying all of that gear. So how do we cut weight, right? How do we save space? And then how do we eliminate that decision that we have as photographers where we decide whether we're bringing our laptop with us or we're not bringing anything at all and maybe just shooting dual cards and taking a risk, which for some people hearing that, they're like, oh, I've done that before. And for other people that hear that, they're like, I would never do that. That's crazy. But then they bring the laptop. They're putting that laptop at risk. It has to be tethered to power if you run out of power. So there's limitations to it. It takes up space. It's a $3,000 investment for an editing machine at the same time. So are you having multiple laptops? Are you risking that investment? When you put GNAR Box into the decision tree, then you're like, okay, I can carry my laptop, $3,000 and all this stuff, weight, power, or I can carry, the GNAR Box, which is super small, less than a pound, has a removable battery system, charges off USB-C, and not to mention, it's just a more convenient, streamlined backup solution. Yeah. So by being not only a better option, but a more reliable backup solution, and saving space, like that decision's changed now for photographers. We have a new option, and that option is a backup device.
Now, is it putting on your marketing guy hat, right? So is the ultimate goal or the ultimate customer avatar for the GNAR Box, or let me reposition the question, who is it? Is it the photographer, like me, running and gunning and copying and want to keep going and don't want to bring the laptop? Is it the videographer that wants to cut some clips real quick in the field just so they can see what's going on and do it from their laptop or from their phone or their iPad? Like who is it? And is GNAR Box attempting to shift the way we think about workflow in the field and be that solution, or are you additive and just giving us another option?
I think that's a really good question. There's a couple levels to it. To answer your first question, who is this product intended for? Who's buying it? Who's using and getting the most value out of it? I always think, who needs it the most? And when I think about that, I think about any photographer that's getting paid for a gig and is doing this constantly. I'm shooting every single day. This is a full-time job. I get paid for my work. My work is now on an SD card, and that's my income. And as soon as that is the equation, that's who we're talking about. And typically, yes, it's run and gun shooters. It's not your studio shooters doing headshots. It's wedding photographers, event photographers. It's freelancers in general is what we look at. So anybody that's taking multiple gigs, maybe they're specializing in one area but still have a diversity of income streams, willing to take many gigs.
When we think about the incorporating a GNAR Box or a tool like this into our workflow, there's a couple things that go through my head, and is this thing robust enough? Can I trust it? Right. Mm-hmm. And having worked in the field with it, I feel like I could run a car over it and it'd be fine. I know you don't recommend that, but it feels. I
don't recommend that.
It feels. I mean, having been in the military, it feels military spec. It feels like something that you could deploy with. Honestly,
you hit it. That's
Yeah.
what it is, mil spec.
Is it? Is it?
Mil spec, yeah, it's a mil spec rating to sustain up to 30 minutes of heavy rainfall, right? So we shot one of our first little 30-second spots for this product, and it just poured on us. And I was like, this is perfect, because all of our shots were GNARBOX with rain on it. And I was like, that's exactly the use case. Someone's out shooting, the weather goes bad, or you knew it was going bad. We did have an easy up tent with us, but a lot of the shots weren't that. And so everything was getting wet, including the GNARBOX. It wasn't an environment for a laptop. And there's a lot of times where that's the case, whether it's dust, it's rain, or it's just, the amount of gear you're carrying with you. The laptop isn't suited for every environment. This device is intended to be rugged. It is rugged, and it's intended to be the most reliable tool that you can purchase for backing up your files.
Yeah. And on the other side of that, so being that reliable tool for backing up, looking through the marketing materials that you guys sent over, and I can test this because I tried this. It does a checksum. You can tell it to do a checksum to verify. Can you talk through that? Because I think that's a critical issue for a lot of us. Because when I copy files over, and I'm still anal, right? So I'm still gonna leave all my data on the SD cards until they're back, home and everything's backed up safely. But having that extra level is important. Can you talk about what that feature is?
Yeah, the checksum feature is definitely an important one for getting that feedback that your backup did complete. It is a byte-by-byte verification, typically used and first originated by coders, but now mandatory for production on DITs. And now we're bringing that feature that typically not everyone uses, is software only available pretty much on your laptop that you have to install and add to your workflow there, that we brought into the GNAR Box to provide that peace of mind when you're not looking at the files. So if you're not connected with your phone or your tablet to view and watch that backup take place, you now just get a data verification that it all went through, or a fail. So it's really important to know when it fails. Oftentimes, if it fails, it could just be an off file or a weird bit, but you might have lost a piece of your video and you need to redo that backup. And I think that is incredibly valuable for people who are, on set and on the go, to know whether it was a pass fail. It's just as binary, it's as binary as that. And when you have limited time in a day, you have locations and you have people to move and clients to call the shots with, you don't have time to be looking through all the files to make sure they're there. So this just saves time while also adding that peace of mind and that visual verification in the backup experience.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah,
it works well. So I want to talk through some of the I/O on this guy before we dive into the other parts of this. So I'm looking at mine now. Let me put me on the screen here. So I'm looking at this one now, and I see I've got a USB-C port on here. I've got a memory card port and what looks to be a display port on here on one side, and then the other side another weather-sealed USB port. Can you talk me through what those various ports are for?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the majority of folks are still shooting on SD cards, and our customers for sure. So you can plug your SD card in. That's the primary use, is you plug in, you hit the button right away, one touch, it backs it up. The USB-C ports are for readers and drives. So, and also connecting, with USB-C now, it's also our power port, and also connecting to your computer for GNARBOX to act as a drive. But the main reason for the diversity of ports is if you're going to replace your laptop, it needs to be able to do not only back up an SD card to the drive internally, but maybe make copies to multiple destinations, possibly from a reader or a hub if you want to attach 3-4 cards and back up them each sequentially using the app. You can back them all up to multiple destinations and seamlessly make all the copies you need without worry, not having to say, well, I want to bring my laptop because I want to attach a hub or my readers. That doesn't work. So if we're going to replace the laptop, we have to provide the ports that you would use. Yeah. The display port is just a way for you to plug into a screen so that you can play the videos back on a larger screen, because oftentimes a phone isn't enough. But if you're at the end of a shoot day, you're in a hotel, or you just, you have a monitor on location, you could be playing back back and streaming on a larger display in HD, which is nice.
What about the photos? Can you see could you do like a mini impromptu slideshow as well?
Not yet, but we're excited to continue to build and add new features using that port and build out the functionality on larger screens.
That's really cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so we covered the ruggability, we covered the I/O, we covered the checksum stuff. I've got a page of notes here that I'm just walking through while I have you here. We talked about who it's for. Let's go back before we move on. I want to talk a little bit more about workflow and have you sort of walk us through that stuff. But I wanted to address one of the elephants in the room, especially for the people that supported the previous Kickstarter or the Kickstarter, the second Kickstarter. There was a delay, right, from when you guys thought you were going to ship to now when you're actually about to ship. Can you talk through that for the people that are like, yeah, what's going on? I backed you and I didn't get my thing. What do you tell those folks?
Yeah, it's always something we deal with as Kickstarter creators and Kickstarter backers. Some are used to experiencing that and some just don't like it. I think that we always aim for a really aggressive goals. As a company, we set big goals. That's how we create amazing products. And the timeline goal was another aggressive and lofty goal. We got to the timeline and even a bumped timeline, and in both instances decided that it was best for us and for the customers to push back. The reason always being, we don't believe as a company delivering on time at the risk of delivering a bad product is a good idea. Customers will be more angry if the product doesn't work the way it was intended to. And so through those months, delayed until we started shipping about 7 months from the original delay time. That was all beta testing, field testing, iteration, finding new potential failure points and fixing them, as well as just improving the system as a whole, adding new features. We found how people were really using it. Once you put it in the field, you get so much feedback, and we said, well, hey, we want to add more ideas to this folder preset system where you have auto organization on backup. We wanted to add batch rename, things that we didn't envision at the Kickstarter now made it into the product, sometimes at the sacrifice of features we put in the Kickstarter. But all of it is based off of, okay, these 100 people used it. They put it to the test. This is the feedback. 80% of them are asking for more auto-organization features. They're finding the most valuable thing to be the fact that they can plug a card in and back it up. So we started to add that in there. And, like I said, as a company, and we've maybe talked about this in the past before, because I know members of the TWiP community have asked about delays. It's for us, like, failure would be delivering a bad product. Failure to us isn't failure to us wasn't the late, right? That was a small loss. It was definitely not what we intended or wanted. It can be frustrating, but yeah, we're really excited with the product that we put out, and that is the true success. And the feedback we're getting is amazing. And we're really, really satisfied with that. And
you guys are just getting started too, right? So you're not done yet. So this is, and it's interesting because in the life cycle of a product, we know, if all goes well, you're going to iterate and make it better and better over time. But I think one of the saving graces around the delay with this particular Kickstarter was you have a proven track record. You released a product before,
right? People
were happy with it. You were building on the shoulders of that one to build this one. So it wasn't like you were, some of these crowd-funded, hardware and software products that sort of abscond with the money and you never hear from them again. You guys are real and you're right here. Right?
I've been scammed myself on Kickstarter, so yeah. I've seen it happen. We shipped the first product. We're there. We're talking to customers. We're putting out updates at a cadence of how the information was coming in, typically trying to keep it to 2 to 6 week range of information updates. Information's always changing, and once we finalized the product, then it was ramping up production, and then it was importing across the globe. It was our first time building in Asia, so it was a lot of challenges, a lot of new new experiences for us, just another growing experience, but we came out of it bigger, badder, and stronger, and more capable of delivering products in the future. This product, I mean, you used the 1.0 and now you have the 2.0. It's 10x. It's just a totally different ball game.
Yeah, it's a new product. It's not. It's brand new.
Every time we iterate and learn, we just we have to make big jumps forward. And as a small company, kind of fighting into this big old camera market and really in the storage industry, we need to be innovating and challenging, the status quo of what is valuable for photographers, particularly for professional work, because if we don't do that, then we're going to continue to get the same old slow-moving junk that we've been getting for years. Yeah. And there's some other small companies that have been building backup devices for decades and putting new ideas in that we've learned from as well. And now this new era of and maybe this is a good segue for us, but this new era now of backup devices that also have Wi-Fi connectivity to enable workflow, that's just, this is a whole new world now. We have a big software team, and that's a big focus for us. As you mentioned, we're going to continue to be building out on this platform. We have 2 apps. We have integrations with Lightroom and LumaFusion. We've partnered with Photo Mechanic to build, provide the engine for one of our applications. And what we're focusing on in the future is building that backup device that not only backs up the most reliable way to back up in the field, but can enable workflow advancements. So how do I actually get some of that work done before I get home, so that when I plug in my drive into my computers, now I just had the files and I had to start working on them. Now I have the drive, which is your GNAR Box, which is up to 1 terabyte of SSD. I plugged that in, and now my files are also organized. They're also renamed. I've previewed all of them, and I'm 5-star rated. I did my rating pass, and I added my keyword tags. Now I'm already done organizing, and I'm jumping straight into editing. And you think about the time that we, as photographers or videographers are, stepping into our work once we get home and back to the studio, the amount of time it takes just doing those steps of organizing, renaming, setting up your editing environment, going through and previewing all of the photos and videos, all of that time now is being placed across different locations. So now I can start doing it on location. Some of that's organization, auto renaming based on how I prepared my shoot, my GNAR Box going into my shoot. Some of that is, in my instance, often it's on the airplane or in the back of the Uber, or even on a subway if I'm in New York. It's like that's when you actually can pull your phone out now, or an iPad. I know you're a big iPad user. It's a beautiful way to look at the files. And I can start working in a convenient fashion off of a device that has 10, 20 hours of battery and can charge off a USB and is, fits in my hand without having to open it up and run fans on my computer and get hot and cramped up with Raptor arms. So it's a powerful system, and that's where we're focused on in the future. It's not providing just that backup, but now we're going to look into your workflow. How do I cut an hour out each shoot? And if I can do that, I can save you time that you can put back into your life or your wallet or your business or your marketing or your networking. And so if we can create something that not only reduces the risk of losing files, but actually makes your life better, now that's a powerful product.
That is, and I can attest to that workflow change because real world, right? Kind of like you on the plane. Normally, my MO on a plane is I get on there, if it's Southwest or whatever, I get on, and I keep my bag with me, and it goes under the seat in front of me because all my goodies are in there, and more importantly, my laptop and all that stuff is in there because I may want to do some culling and editing or whatever on the plane, depending on the length of the flight. Mm-hmm. On this last flight that I went on, that switched because of you guys, right? So my bag went into the overhead, and the only thing that I took to the seat with me was my phone, my headphones, and the GNAR Box.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I was able to just sort of chill there with my, with my little drink and sort of go through my files on the phone while I was sitting there. I didn't even have the iPad. I just had the iPhone right there, and I'm just going through everything. And and to tell you, well, it really felt like science fiction. To just be like literally sitting there and going through all the files and, looking at videos and, just doing all my stuff off of a hard drive wirelessly while sitting on the plane and with my laptop safely stored away and with leg room now, because I'm 6'2", I could actually stretch my legs out.
Yeah.
So, no, that's interesting. So I wanted to have you sort of walk through the workflow process. I know you're prepared to do a screen share, and then one of the questions at the top was, and this is where I am literally today. After we get off this call, I have to do some work off of the GNAR Box. So I'm wondering, is the GNAR Box designed to allow me to plug it into my computer? Because I've done all my organization, everything is sitting there. Can I plug it into my Mac through USB-C and use it as a primary drive, i.e. edit off of it, or is it just designed to get everything here safely, i.e. into my office, and then copied off onto its edit drive? What's the flow?
I typically copy off to an edit drive. I think we recommend that. Like GNAR Box is just like this, this lockbox for your files that you are, using while you're in the field. It's mostly a field device. When I bring it home, it just depends on your setup, right? I don't know if you're editing off NAS or, if you have just a large RAID drive or what. I have a RAID drive. It's synced to my Dropbox. GNAR Box, I connect to my network when I get home, because if I get home late, I'm typically not jumping straight into editing. So what I do is I have all my files land into a Dropbox folder on my GNAR Box. Then when I get home, I plug it into power, and overnight, all of my files are uploading into Dropbox. So then I get that cloud upload, and then I also have it syncing from Dropbox down to my onto my RAID drive. The other way it could be done is just to the RAID to the Dropbox. It just depends on where I set up and where I am, if it's at the office or if I'm at home. So at home, I go to Dropbox. If I'm at the office, it goes straight into my RAID. So now I have multiple locations, and I hit that 3-2-1 basically as soon as I get home. And that's my workflow. But people are editing off of it. It's definitely something you can do. It's a totally capable drive. Read write, spec'd up to 350. Typically on a Mac while editing, you're getting like 225 megabytes a second. So if not more. The read usually a little higher. So I think, it's a totally capable editing drive. I think there are some limitations of it just being battery powered versus bus powered, right? So bus powered would be your typical drive is bus powered. If you can bus power, I think it's better. Rather than running a second battery powered device, it's going to hurt your battery long term. So I always recommend to just go to another drive.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that I would do that. I'm in the process now of moving to a NAS-based system.
Yeah.
So,
there you go.
Doing the research around that, because that seems like magic to me too.
It is, yeah.
Being able to edit. We can talk about
that maybe in the future for sure. I think that's a step in the workflow. We're seeing a lot of photographers migrate to this network connection. There's two trends, right? It's network connection, and we're always changing our workflow. So networking in the field and at home is changing. The cloud's changing as well. The cloud's been around for a while, but we're finally seeing full saturation, I think. Everyone has some cloud solution in their workflow and their data management. And now what we're trying to do is bridge a lot of the field to the homework and trying to streamline that transition of what am I doing in the field, and am I de-risking in the field, and do I have network ability in the field? And then when I get home, is it connecting right into my network? So that requires a smart device. That requires a device with strong Wi-Fi and processors, not just a typical HDD or SSD. And long term, and I think it's really cool that we're actively evolving your workflow on air, because that's just what we do. We have live chat on our website. We have communities, and I go to events and trade shows where I see you at, and we're constantly just fielding questions like that. And how do I do this? Should I do this? And everyone has a different workflow. This is just a tool that you can inject into it and find a way to improve that workflow however you see fit, whether it's just a new backup solution in the field, or if it's culling files or viewing them from a phone or not, whether it's going into a full mobile workflow, i.e. pulling files into Lightroom CC and editing from an iPad and having it sync over the Adobe Cloud. That's an option to you. Not everyone takes it, but a lot of folks are going that way because it allows for more streamlined editing solutions, and GNARBOX can connect into that. Or it's just I'm plugging into Capture One and Lightroom Classic, and I want my files to be tagged. Great. We can supply that. So if it's a video workflow, we've talked about LumaFusion. I want to trim clips, pull them onto my iPad and do a quick cut from an iPad. You can do that. We provide options, and we provide small, tangible, but powerful features, i.e. folder presets or Checksum or an integration with Adobe to facilitate you building a new workflow. And as people constantly evolve that workflow every few years, perhaps, or even just constantly, maybe it's an every day, every shoot iteration, we hope that over time, you will save time with new technology, that you will reduce the risk of losing files with new technology, that you will deliver to clients faster, and you improve as a photographer, as a professional, as a working professional, servicing clients that are paying you. And that's always our end goal when we think about new products and new features that we build.
I love that. I love that. Speaking of new products and new features, here's a feature request for the next GNAR Box for me. I know this is pie in the sky. Wouldn't it be, here's the Silicon Valley, wouldn't it be cool if ellipsis, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool if in the field, let's assume I have my old NAS, everything is set up here and it's connected, and I can get to it from any place on the planet. Wouldn't it be cool if my GNAR Box could upload my files when there's bandwidth available to a folder structure, a predetermined folder structure on my home NAS? That would be killer if I could do that.
Yeah, I mean, right now with the Dropbox feature, you can sync via your Dropbox once you get the GNAR Box onto a local Wi-Fi. So there's some, way to do that. But feedback back and forth between the two devices will be an interesting long-term endeavor for us. We're looking in always to new features like that, so we'll definitely log it in the feature request list. And
just don't log it in the circular file, Will. Come on, that's a great idea, Frederick.
Yeah, no, it's but you wouldn't be the first one to ask for that. So, or you aren't the first one to ask for that. So it's definitely something, among many, many ideas and features of people now throwing at us every day, which is the best thing you can ask for as a company, really, is getting active feedback from a community, having a strong community, having followers that believe in the future and believe in what you have now. That's the best and probably the most valuable thing we have. So we'll take features all day.
All right, Will. So I think we should dive into just sort of looking through how the actual the applications work. I know there's a suite of applications so far that you guys have developed that operate on the iPhone and the iPad. So I'm interested to see what I can do and what that integration looks like. You have a screen share going there? Can we dive into that?
Yeah, let's jump on in. This is the SafeKeep app, which is our primary application. Every user will use this one. It's, your basic finder or explorer where you navigate all your files. You can set up presets. You can view and navigate the folder. So it's a basic folder structure. I have all my backups on here. I can see my card that's actually attached. I can eject it, or I can navigate in and view the files and copy them. But before I run a backup, what everyone needs to do is just be acquainted with our onboard backup system. And that comes first with these settings. The backup settings, we talked about the checksum. I leave that one on or off. I'll have it on for this one so we can see it. Really have it on and off based on settings, if it's a casual or a work shoot. Smart backup is super important, though. This is the ability to back up a card to a location, take that card out, keep shooting on it, then plug it back in, back it up again. And as long as it goes to the same location, it'll only copy the new files you shoot. So that one's a mandatory yes on, I think, for me. And then for the flattened folders and folder by extension, it's kind of a preference option as well, similar to the checksum, but I keep it on. I think it's saves time in the long run. Basically, flattened folders, will eliminate the source folder structure and take all the files and then drop them into an end destination. And then when you add folder by extension, it'll create the folders by the extension on the file. So for example, it'll create a folder for ARWs, JPEGs, and MP4. Say I shot all 3 in a day on a single given card. Maybe sounds crazy, but it's definitely something that could happen, and added time savings and convenience. All of these are about that. We'll have them on for now. The second
sort of automation on import, right? So with it, just a quick question. So with that automation on import, am I able to specify various devices? For example, when I'm out, I'm shooting. Obviously I'm shooting with my GH5, G9. I'm maybe some drone shots from a Mavic Pro, and then maybe some audio files from a Zoom. Right? Am I able to say, okay, anything from that device goes here, et cetera, et cetera?
Totally. So that is all done through our folder presets, which allows you to program different backup folder structures with a name to it onto the box, so that when you're backing up just using your GNAR box with the screen and buttons as you plug a card in, you can actually select one of those presets. And I'll make one real quick. I'll combine basically our desired workflows, but I source everything into Dropbox so that I can upload when I get home. And then, let's just create a test shoot. So I'll just add, this test shoot. I usually do like a location folder that I, in the future, will rename. And then let's just add, you said GH5, is that the camera we're shooting on?
Yeah.
So I'll add a GH5, and I'm going to name that one simply GH5. And we'll just create one new one that mimics the structure that I want. So we called it test. And then we do, let's just call it the DJI Mavic. And that's going to be a new folder that we create. So if I select one versus the other, I'm going to get a different folder. This dynamic option lets me add different dating options based off of the file's shot date. And then the current date will just create a folder based on date and time. I'm not a big user of that. I might do some date sorting for different shoots. Sometimes I use it. This was the Mavic. So I'm going to just name this one the DJI. And that's, now I have 2 different folder structures. And I don't know if you can cut back now to the screen.
I'm on the screen now. I'm showing your folder presets. Yeah.
Yeah. So now what I can actually.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
To the camera. All right. Let's see if we can show this here. But basically now what I have is the GH5 and the Mavic DJI M folder, and I could toggle those on and off. So I could program all of my different cameras and have them on or off for different shoots, or just have them in a long list. And when I select one of them, it's actually going to back up the card to the GNAR box. There you go. It's going to start kicking it off. We can kick back to the app now.
Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool. Okay, so I can. So correct me if I'm wrong. So, and forgive my fanboy excitement here. so I can do one of 2 things. So I can have, if I know I'm going on a, let's put it in a box. Let's say, let me bring us back on screen here. Let's say I'm doing a model fashion portraiture shoot, right? And I know that, maybe it's going to occur. There's going to be several different looks that happen over the day, and different things that are going to occur. So I can plan out that day with the different shoots and what's going to happen, typically all with one camera in that scenario, right? So I can pre-organize, like, okay, shoot or look 1 goes in this folder, and this is all the data, et cetera, et cetera. But then you're saying, if I get this right, I can also, or in addition or separately, have a folder hierarchy because I'm always shooting, right? And I'm out and about shooting and flying my drone and taking photos or whatever. I can say, okay, all my drone photos go or images go in this folder, and underneath that folder, it's split into stills and video, and have it just do the right thing whenever I import into that folder. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So kind of programming your folder structure is what we try to create the feature set to do. And if you flip back to the phone screen, I'll just show you really fast. This task is in progress. You can see the location it's going to. And when I actually navigate, now you see these folders are created. And there's the ARWs sorted by file extension with all my files showing up in it. And then I can just tap in, and while this backup's taking place, I can even start to preview them and do other things to it. So yeah, it's a really powerful tool for enabling auto organization. So now when I step the GNAR Box into my computer when I get home, that whole process is done. The process of renaming folders, navigating, copying, and pasting multiple cards into different folders or the same folder, it's just gone. So that's kind of our goal, is cutting out this kind of mundane work from what is an otherwise fun and creative process.
So if I had a folder, like in the instance of that portrait shoot, if I had a folder named Jane Doe, it's September whatever 2019, 2020, that's the project. And I organized that and imported and ingested all of my data into that folder or that folder tree during the shoot. When I get back, the process would be dragging that main folder over to my NAS and then going from there, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it just, like I said, steps you into that next step with a bunch of work done for you automatically. And, I've been watching people evolve with this product and iterate their workflow rapidly after getting it, changing the way we name folders and files so that we can hone better organization, take advantage of optimization. But our goal is always to match your workflow and your folder structuring to the features we provide you to create. So there's some work to do along those lines and some cool ideas that we have for continuing to add more automation steps. But right now, it's really awesome for exactly the use cases you laid out. And yeah, like I said, cut out that little extra time can go a long way.
Yeah, no, that's killer. So that's the workflow. So, one of the other notes I have down here is, again with that "wouldn't it be cool if" ellipsis, was the idea of being able to, because I do a lot of photography on my iPhone too, right? Okay. So I want to be able to ingest stuff from my camera roll into that GNAR Box. I want the GNAR Box to be sort of my repository for all of the media that I create, and some of the media, in fact, probably a good percentage is done on iOS. Are you guys building that facility in?
Yeah, that is a feature that's been often requested, especially as our phones get better and better, and we record more media, both photo and video, on them. We actually get that request more for video because people want to kind of combine that footage and see it and view it, and it just takes up so much more space. Yeah. It's easy to get a Google Photos and sync, but it's a feature that isn't currently on the box, but is one that we've had enough requests of where we're looking into and trying to develop and build it out. It's not in any public release though, so
I'm guessing you get more.
Kind of a test feature we have going.
I'm sure you saw the new iPhone release, right? So the iPhone Pro, whatever they're calling it, and its ability to record multiple streams of video simultaneously. Yeah. Which in theory looks really cool. In practice is going to suck up a whole lot of disk space on a mobile device, which is going to make the proposition of a GNAR Box type device very, very attractive for people that want to use that sort of workflow. So,
yeah, possibly. Yeah, and that's, shout out to Filmic Pro for making a really cool application. I'm really excited about that myself.
Yeah, it made me I have Filmic Pro. It made me take another fresh look at Filmic Pro because
it's really cool.
I'm like, you mean I could record a multicam interview with just my phone? Are you kidding me? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really cool. And, the one thing you hit on there is just that as more and more devices continue to create more data, larger data sets, we need storage solutions, and we need an array of different storage solutions. You're talking about the NAS system and investing time and money into developing network attached storage, and it's just another example of we're creating so much data. We have created so much data that we need ways to secure it, to preserve it, to archive it, as well as back it up on location. And that's where we play into that suite, is developing a new type of storage that hasn't existed really before, that can provide the most reliable way to back up in the field. And we'll find new ways to back up more stuff and more devices, but our goal is always find out how people are creating content and find new ways to safely and reliably back it up. That's that's our MO.
That's fantastic. And, we can wrap it up with this, because I know the kinds of data that I'm creating is just, it's growing over time, right? So it's everything from drones and stills and video from drones, my cameras, doing different kinds of things with the cameras, recording audio. There's 360 cameras now that I'm recording content with. So there's a never ending, and it's all data. It's all zeros and ones that need to go somewhere. So if I can rely on my ruggedized mil-spec GNAR Box to be the repository for all that stuff and keep it safe until I get it and stick it into, the Library of Congress here, or Fort Knox, then we're all set. So cool, man.
That's absolutely right. And this is a cool product. This is a new way to back up, and if we can make it so that I have 8 cameras or whatever you're shooting these days, I have all these sources. Well, not only how do I back it up, but how do I keep it straight all the time? How do I never lose? It's easy to get lost in the shuffle of cards and drives and different shoots and your archive and your history, all of these things. It needs to be easily accessible. You need to always know it's there. You need to have that transparency with your information and data and your backups, and GNARBOX provides those things for you between the backup and on the screen on the box that gives you the feedback of backups, but the connectivity to a phone or an iPad so you can preview, and actually access that media. So that's kind of that's the gist of it.
That's cool, man. Congratulations. So as we wrap this up, as we record this, it is Wednesday, September 18th, 2019.
Yep.
When are we looking at this, the official launch, when, all embargoes are lifted and, it's just out in the wild?
Yeah. So the date is October 2nd.
Oh, you look nervous saying that.
There was a couple bumps on that, but we wanted to make sure that all of our backers got product and that we were able to actually push, our final software release into the product before it went into retail. That software release has a multi-destination copy that we think is really, really powerful. I didn't show it to you today, but basically plug a card in, plug a drive in, read the card, and then write it to 2 destinations. So basically at the same amount of time it would take you to make 1 copy, you're making 2 copies, because so many people are, getting their files both to the GNAR Box and to another SSD. So you have that redundancy, but also you have that, ready to go scratch disk. So for editing drives. So it's just a powerful feature, and it took us a while to get it out there, but it's coming out. We're excited to see reviews and see this go live, and really kind of see how the market responds and how people like or dislike our product, or provide new feature ideas and new requests for what we can create in the future, because that's just the cycle we're on.
I think people will dig it, and I think you'll get a lot of feedback, because like you said, there's a near infinite amount of workflows, and everyone thinks theirs is the way, right? And they're going to want to bend your device to fit their workflow properly or perfectly. So
and hopefully you don't have to bend it much as it stands today. I don't think we're not getting as much as feedback as we got with the first version, because we took in all that feedback. So I think we're way ahead of where we were before. We're way ahead at launch where we were when we launched the first gen, and I think you can bend this thing without much effort to match your workflow.
I love it. I love it. Well, congratulations, Will Africano, on this thing.
Thank you so much.
This is the GNAR Box 2.0 SSD version, hitting store shelves in mass distribution on October 2nd, 2019. So
that's it.
It's been a long road, and you guys are here. Landing gear is down. You're on final approach, so good luck.
That's it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having us on or having me on this time around, but look forward to being on again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, you got to come on again and talk about, maybe a month later, talk about, okay, we got this kind of feedback and we're pointing the ship in this direction now, which is yeah, cool.
Absolutely. Let's see how people are putting it to use and sharing feedback, and maybe we talk just about mobile workflow or something, because that might be a future for a lot of users out there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Will Africano, CMO and co-founder of GNAR Box. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
This episode is brought to you by Photo Plus, October 24th through 26th at the Javits Center in New York City. Register today at photoplusexpo.com and use the code TWiP to register for free. This is TWiP.